Challenges are inevitable, but how we respond to them makes all the difference in the world. Emotional resilience is what allows us to bounce back from setbacks, face difficulties, and head in the right direction and keep going even when things don't seem like they're working for us, even when the path seems tough. And so today, that's what we're going to be talking about. How do we And today, that's what we're going to be talking about: developing emotional resilience in the face of challenges. Hey, this is Dr. Dwain Woode, and I'm excited that you are joining me for day number 22 in my 100-day walk for consistency. We are building a better version of ourselves, a more consistent, a stronger, a more resilient, a more flexible version of ourselves. That's what we're going to be discussing today. Remember, as we jump into this discussion, consistency is your key. Consistency is what allows you to be able to set yourself up for success. Over the last several weeks, we've talked about lots of different tools. I hope that you are out there and you are putting them into practice, that you're doing the challenges, that you are doing the worksheets, and that you are creating that manual for success. Hey, let's go ahead. Let's jump in. I'll see you on the walk. So what is emotional resilience? Emotional resilience is that ability to bounce back and to recover from setbacks and still keep going. It is that mental toughness that allows us to be flexible, that allows us to see the possibilities even though things don't go in the way we thought that they would. So emotional resilience is that ability that we have to develop that will take us in a space that sets us up for success. It is the power that is essential to help us, to reframe, to help us to see failures as not just stumbling blocks, but as opportunities. If we have emotional resilience, then that allows us to expand our thought process. It gives us the ability to think outside the box. Without emotional resilience, things seem static. We have a fixed mindset, and we don't believe that things can work out. But emotional resilience gives us the power, gives us the ability to do that. It is what helps us to see setbacks as more than just challenges, but to see them as opportunities. Why is emotional resilience so important? Because without it, we tend to close off. We tend to not think outside the box. We tend to have a fixed mindset, and we don't expand our thought processes into the problem-solving phase. Okay, we kind of stay where we are. Things are the way they are, and there's nothing we can do about it. But emotional resilience says no. Things are going to be different, but it's going to be okay. We'll figure a way out. We'll figure something else. We will move in a different direction. That's what emotional resilience does. So how do you develop emotional resilience? One, you have to shift your perspective on challenges. Yeah, we talked a little bit about this as we discussed the process of seeing opportunities within setbacks, right? So we've got to shift our thoughts about challenges. Remember, challenges can either be seen as obstacles. It's not coming this way, but it's going by. We can either see challenges as obstacles, or we could see them as an opportunity for us to make changes, for us to pivot, for us to go in a different direction, for us to learn. And so instead of viewing challenges as setbacks, we want to try to see them as opportunities. We want to see them as a place for growth. Every challenge that you face is a chance to improve, to expand, and to get better. We want to practice self-compassion. in the process of looking at setbacks, we're going to practice compassion. Because if we do that, then we allow ourselves the ability to make mistakes. We allow ourselves the possibility that things won't go the way we outlined. And that doesn't mean that there's something wrong with us. It simply means that we've got to pivot. We've got to change. We've got to move. We've got to go in a different direction. Okay, so how do we develop emotional resilience? Also, we want to face and focus on what we can control. When we talked a little bit about that in one of our discussions earlier. So there are things that are outside of your control. Here in town, we had, over the last couple of days, we had some storms. And, as we walk around, you may still see some of the remnants of that. But I can't control that. If you remember, I think it was a couple of days ago, we ended up having to stop the recording, go in, and then we came back out. And we did that because I couldn't control the storms. And even as I'm walking right now, it's wet out because it's been raining for the last 3 or 4 days. Right? But that doesn't mean that those are things that will set me back. They're out of my control. And I simply do what I can do in the process of heading in the direction I want to go. Okay? So remember, you want to focus on the things you can control, and the things you can't, well, guess what? So when challenges arise, you want to feel easy that you are working on the things you can control. If you try to look at everything, then you can become overwhelmed, and that, of course, does not set us up for success. Next, you want to build a support system. Build a support system, right? You know that was coming. If you want to go somewhere, go by yourself. But if you want to go a far way and you want to be successful long term, make sure that you are taking other people with you. Community is an essential in trying to be successful. You can't do it by yourself. Did I say that? Right? So you can't do it by yourself. You have to have community around you, because if you do, then things work much better for you. And so for those of you watching, I'm actually on the campus of my alma mater again. We live actually pretty close, and so that's what I'm doing. I come out here and I walk. Okay? And then you want to develop a resilient mindset through gratitude. In our last discussion, we talked a bit about gratitude. Gratitude is a powerful tool for building resilience. What you focus on is on those things that you have that are positive. We can always find the negative. Remember the inner coach and the inner critic? Oh yeah, the critic's there. It's coming. It's always there. But when we focus on the positives, it gives the inner coach ammunition to be able to say, no. We are moving in a direction that's going to set us up for success. Okay? So make sure that you are focusing on the positives and that you are being grateful. So there are grateful practices that you can develop, that you can start using. I'm just waiting for these cars to go by. That we'll come back and perhaps talk more about how do you develop the practice of being grateful. That is so important in the things that we do. Okay. Yeah. All right, so how is emotional resilience, how does it fuel consistency? Well, number one, it fuels consistency because emotional resilience keeps you grounded. When challenges come up, it's easy. It's easy to get jaded. It's easy to think about all the difficulties. It's easy to think about all the craziness that that's happening and all the things that you don't have. But emotional resilience helps to keep you grounded. It helps you to deal with doubt. It helps you to deal with those things that come up that says, those words that come to mind that says that no, you can't do this. But when we're resilient, we have those tools that we've developed. We have those concepts that we've talked about, that we've used, that we continue to do on a daily basis. So as you guys hear, I'm walking along the road here, and those cars are just zipping by. I'm going to turn in here and head back in the other direction away from the cars. So if you're feeling frustrated because your progress is slow, emotional resilience allows you to acknowledge those feelings. It says, okay, yeah, I am feeling frustrated. I am feeling as though things aren't quite working for me. I am feeling like things are going slow. But emotional resilience, as we learned yesterday, says to us that I'm not going to think of this as being slow. What I'm going to think of it as is me setting the pace or setting the foundation for all the things that I want to do. It allows me to focus, to redirect, to change my mindset about the things that are going on around me. So emotional resilience helps to keep me grounded. And as I'm moving, sounds like all these sprinklers are coming on. Okay. Emotional resilience helps you to recover faster. When you are able to look at things in a certain perspective, then you're able to recover much faster than if you are stuck in the negative. Yeah. When your mind is telling you, when the inner critic is telling you something negative, if you have emotional resilience, then that inner coach is jumping in and saying, no, this is not how we're going to be. We're not staying here. We're not hanging here. We are going to redirect. We're going to change. We're going to retool our mind, and we're moving in a different direction. And then emotional resilience builds confidence. You know, confidence is sometimes not considered. There is a power that comes from a person who's confident. Even if that person does not have all the answers, a confident person is able to project some stability. And so the people around them feel comfortable in their lack of knowledge, even more sometimes that they feel comfortable in a person who has the information who's not confident. I want you to hear what I said. So a person who has good confidence, strong confidence, appropriate confidence. I'm not talking about, confidence that says, that's kind of boastful, but someone who has good confidence, who even doesn't have the right or have all the information, can appear and can manage much better than someone who has the information who lacks confidence. So confidence is one of those things that is very important, and emotional resilience helps you to build confidence. When you build confidence, then you're more consistent. When you're more consistent, remember that confidence and consistency cycle that we talked about. When you're more confident, you're more consistent, more confident, and they just build on each other and allows us to continue to be in a place of setting ourselves up for success. So emotional resilience helps us to build that confidence, and that in turn helps us to be consistent, which in turn helps us to be successful. Remember that path, right? So things that happen don't have meaning until we put meaning to them. When we put meaning to them, then we have a particular feeling about it. The feeling prompts us to behave in a certain way, and that behavior then, and those actions that come from the behavior, is what sets us up for success or to not have success. So our confidence, the words that we tell ourselves, the stories that we build in our mind are very important in how we succeed or how we do not succeed. So make sure that you are paying attention to that. Okay? All right. And then So what are some tips for building and strengthening emotional resilience? Well, number one, you want to be flexible. Flexibility is the ability to bend and to change and to adjust in the face of something that requires that. So just because you created a plan, just because you researched it, just because you came up with a smart goal, doesn't mean that that's going to work just like you planned, right? Things may have to change. Your resources may change. Your priorities may shift. Your time frame may shift. And so flexibility is the elasticity that goes along with our goals, that allows us to change, allows us to bend, allows us to pivot without breaking and without decomposing, right? Because we think, oh my God, things are not working out for me. So be sure that you are developing flexibility. For example, if your walking, 100-day walk to consistency, if your walking conflicts with a family obligation, then take care of the family obligation and find a different time when you're going to walk. As a matter of fact, my wife and I had a similar conversation recently in terms of work, right? Because in the morning I get up and I go to walk, at least I'm trying to, and I got to work late a couple of times. And so the question is, what do we do? And my dilemma has been that I want to do these videos, and if I get up earlier, it's dark out. So I'm gonna have to figure out how to videotape in less light, or find a different way of doing it. As I mentioned before, I've had to change my schedule around, become more organized so that I can do this, right? So you got to be flexible. You have to be able to change, adapt, and adjust. Number two, you want to practice some stress management techniques. Oh yeah. If we're going to be emotionally resilient, then we have to learn stress management. And those techniques are so important because they allow us to deal with the emotions that are going to come and be able to still function. Now, often we negate or we downplay or we pretend that we don't have those emotions, and that is not the way to deal with them. What we've got to do is develop some stress management ways, some techniques, deep breathing, meditation, yoga, mindfulness. We want some techniques that we can use that will put us in a space where we can be successful, okay? So develop stress management techniques so that we can set ourselves up for success. And I'm walking around the parking lot here at the regional conference office, for those of you who know this area, and the Breath of Life. All right. So we want to develop stress management techniques, and we want to keep the long-term perspective. The long-term perspective. What does that mean? That means that we are not just focusing on this right here. Okay? We're not just focusing on the fact that, I see the fire truck behind me there. We're not just focusing on the fact that this right now is not working out the way we thought it was going to work out. We're focusing on the fact that it is simply a part of the process. Remember we talked about focusing on process before? Well, one of the reasons for that is that we're now able to change. We're able to adapt. We're able to adjust this component because we know ultimately we're heading over there. And so the fact that this one didn't work out is not as big a deal because we could change it. We can adjust it. We could find a different way of doing what we need to do to continue to set us up and keep us in direction of being successful, okay? So focus on the long term and not necessarily on the fact that this did not work out, because we're getting there, all right? Remember, consistency. If we do something regularly, small, sometimes seemingly insignificant steps, we're getting there. So we know we're getting there. And the process right here, this thing right here that didn't quite work out, it's okay because we're gonna replace it with something else and we're heading in the direction, okay? So emotional resilience, so important for the things that we're gonna do, and we wanna make sure that we are developing emotional resilience. So now that we've had that discussion, you ready for the challenge? You know, we weren't gonna leave until we got that, right? So your challenge today is to work on emotional resilience. And what I want you to do is I want you to identify one challenge. It could be big or small, something that hasn't quite gone the way you thought it was gonna go, something that when you created your goals, your SMART goals, you thought that this is where it's gonna be, this was the timeline, these were the resources you had, these were the, this was the time frame, you thought it was specific, and you're now realizing that this is a challenge, this is a place for challenge. I want you to write that down. Number two, I want you to reframe that as an opportunity. Notice we take the challenge, we're gonna reframe it as an opportunity, because if we can do that, then the story that we will create is much different than the story that we currently had. So reframe that as an opportunity for growth, okay? And then I want you to take one small action. Simply having it in your head, simply having it on the paper, doesn't mean anything if you are not taking an action, right? Action is what initiates it. So I want you to take one small action today to move forward in a direction, even if the challenge feels overwhelming. Yep. Okay? And then I want you to practice self-compassion. This is so important. Remind yourself that setbacks are part of the process. They're going to happen. It's coming. It's just a matter of when. And so now that you've had a setback, let's go ahead and let's make sure that we are not allowing it to derail us and send us way back and to destroy what we've built. That is your challenge today when we're working on emotional resilience. So developing emotional resilience is a key to helping us stay consistent. Yeah. It is what allows us to bounce back, to be flexible, to be able to reframe, to take that moment so that we can think about the things that we're doing and think about the success that we can have. It's so important that you are continuing to know that there is a way to do things. Remember, we sometimes don't succeed, not because we don't have the desire, not because we don't have the drive, not because we don't have the know-how, is because we don't have the structure. And so what you're developing right now is the structure that allows you to be able to say, yeah, I can do this. That's what 100 days of 100-day walk of consistency is all about. It's about setting us up for success. As always, hey, I'm glad that you were able to join me. And before we go, let me remind you not to negate, not to avoid, not to ignore the challenges that we're doing, and not to ignore the workbook, those worksheets, because when you're done, you're going to have a manual for success. Hey, this is Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for Endocrinology. And here I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health in your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. And hey, we're coming back tomorrow. Join me tomorrow for my 100-day walk to consistency on day number 23. All right, I'll see you later.